Good evening to you, wherever you're listening to us from, and thanks for staying tuned to your darling station. My name is Precious Chukwekezie, and I'm glad to welcome you, as always, to today's edition of A Stitching Time. You know, on today's edition of the program, we are going to be paying attention to an issue that is very important, but then that is oftentimes brushed aside. It's not always talked about. It's an issue about women representation in governance, because you will agree with me that women make almost half of the Nigeria's population. But then their representation in governance is almost, let me say, very low, very low. And because of that, there's been renewed conversations about reserved seats for women in parliament. And this is simply to promote more opportunities for women, for their voices to be heard, and for women to participate actively in politics, so that you will get to see the other side of the women, you know. So on today's edition of A Stitching Time, we are going to be focusing on reserved seats as a pathway to women's inclusion in governance. And joining us to share her experience and perspective is a distinguished guest, is a woman who has not only broken barriers but has also continued to represent her constituency with dedication and impact at the Enugu State House of Assembly. She will be helping us unpack the issue, the challenges, and the way forward for women in politics. So today on A Stitching Time, we have with us as our special guest, Honorable Obiajulu Princess Ogu. She is the Deputy Chief Whip at the Enugu State House of Assembly. She is a member representing Enugu South Rural Constituency, and also the chairperson, Southeast Reserve Seat for Women Coalition?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so we're glad to have you join us today on the program.
Thank you very much, Precious.
Okay, so can you start by telling us what inspired you to join politics? Because this is something a lot of women shy away from. They will tell you is leave politics for politicians, but then you grabbed the bull by the horn and you joined and you're making impact. So what inspired you?
Okay, what inspired me basically is the need to lend my voice to making the society a better place. You know, oftentimes we do not understand that we are all leaders and are leading in different places. We can be leading in our families, in the church, in the school, primary school, secondary school, in different organizations where we'll find ourselves. But the difference between leading in the political space is you tend to have a wider reach and of what your impacts and what your voice can do. So that is basically what inspired me to join. I wanted to, to make impact, positive impacts to the larger society.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. But you know that politics is something that is largely dominated by the men. So when you joined politics, are there challenges that you faced, or are there still challenges that you're facing being in politics as a woman?
Of course, being in politics as a woman is already a challenge on its own, because there are a lot of stereotypes, there are a lot of tagging to politics that makes it look unfair for women to be involved in it. And yes, when I joined politics, challenges, of course, both male and female, everybody faces challenges in politics. But what I will say is that the challenges a woman faces looks like it is more than the one that a man faces in politics. So yes, challenges, they abound. But we keep striving to see ways to mitigate these challenges.
That's right. Okay, now there's been call for reserved seat for women in the parliament. What's your opinion about it? Does it mean that women can't contest comfortably? Can't they come out and in election and contest with the men?
Okay, so it looks as if I had to adjust my seat when you mentioned, does it mean that women cannot come out to contest with men? Of course, women can come out to contest with men, but women has been over marginalized over time. From inception, since we started doing politics, since independence of Nigeria, now women has been relegated to the background. They've been the ones to man the home front, manage the children. Women were not always allowed in the space for leadership. It was always a man's thing, while it was a man's thing, a man's thing to be in the political space, while it was a woman's thing to be in at home and take care of the home front. So what this has done is that it has, indirectly carved a certain kind of niche that makes women, withdrawn whenever you talk about leadership. Not minding that when you get to the home, you will see that women are actually the ones leading the home. And what this translates is that if a woman manages 5 children, 6 children, 7 children, 8 children, and we find about 10 or 5 of such women in leadership spaces, they can put their heads together and use that strength they are using to manage 90. 9 times 10, for instance, is 90. And that's a number, quite a number. If we have women managing the leadership space with the ideas that God has embedded in them, I think we'll have a better society. So the leadership space is considered in fact, the world as a whole, especially in our country, Nigeria, is a patriarchal system here, and it is considered the man's world. But in actuality, in the actual sense of it, I can tell you that the woman has a part in that world.
That's right. Okay. So this result says that the women are clamoring for. Do you think it should be something that should be for some time, or should it be permanent?
Okay, so of course the bill already is a temporal bill. Okay. It's not looking at staying. So what are we looking at for the reserve seat bill? You asked if women cannot contest. Women can contest, but because of the long-term disparity in having women in the space, it made it to, the balance, the difference is very long. And for this difference to be covered, that is the essence of the reserved seat bill. Now, the reserved seat bill is not saying that women cannot contest other seats. It is only saying that we want these seats specifically
for women,
reserved for women, to be contested by women alone. What it means is that, for instance, in the Enugu State House of Assembly, where we have currently 24 seats in the parliament, and we are the bill is seeking to bring in 3 more seats for the state assembly. What it simply means is that if that 3 seats are added and women refuse to contest that seat, it will just stay there.
Oh, wow.
It will just stay there. And that does not mean that the other 24 seats, like if women decide that, I want to contest in these 24 seats, they can still contest it and be members of the parliament. So what does the reserve seat bill seek to do? It seeks to bring in 37 extra seats for the Senate, that's the upper chamber of the National Assembly, and 37 extra seats, that is 1 seat per state, 1 extra seat per state to be occupied by women. That will make about 74 seats at the parliament, at the national parliament. And at the state assembly, you will have 3 seats per state, in addition to whatever is existing in that state, making a total number of 108 extra seats. So you see that we have 997 seats in the whole state, in the whole nation, in the whole country for the state houses of assembly, and we have only 54 occupied by women. Now, if we add 108 seats you know that that will bring up that number of women in the House of Assembly. And so is the same thing with the House of Representatives and of the Senate. So this bill seeks to just stay for 4 election cycle, that is about 16 years, which after that 16 years, it will be reviewed, either to be retained or to be scrapped, depending on the impact, whether we feel the impact is positive or negative.
But even before then, at this point, do you think there will be a positive impact with this reserved seat?
Of course, there will be a positive impact with the reserved seat. Of course, if you look at countries like Rwanda, like Mozambique, I think Kenya, where you have women in their parliament, you cannot compare their economic growth with what we have currently in our country. So considering those places, considering these places I have just mentioned, we are very hopeful. Research have also shown that we are going to be experiencing almost 9% increase in our economic growth with more women in parliament.
Okay, so you're thinking that if we have more women in governance, it will improve decision making?
Of course, it will improve decision making, because what you're going to see is that most of the budgets that's being passed will go to sensitive parts like health, like education, places that like agriculture, places that when these funds are injected into, you will see maximum growth. And you notice that these places are places where we have mainly women managing. So we expect a strong increase in economic development with this inclusion of women in governance.
Okay, so as we're expecting that women inclusion in governance or in parliament will make things to move more smoothly than it is currently. But it doesn't mean that the men are not trying at this point in time.
No, we haven't said that the men are not trying. We haven't said that the men are not trying. What we are just saying is that they say two good heads are better than one.
That's right.
So if you bring from beginning, God said, let me make you a help meet for you. What this means is that the man will function better and be more productive with the woman by his side. So we're not looking to remove the men. We just want to work side by side by the men to make better impact.
Okay, so we've talked more about the reserved seat for women. So beyond the reserved seat, what more do you think can be done to support women in politics?
Okay, so one of the major things is, most times when a woman says, first of all, indicates interest in running for seats, she meets a lot of go and sit down, you're a woman. It's a dirty game. You will be this one, they will kill you, they will do it, can you fight if first of all is to begin to change that mentality of trying to discourage women when they indicate interest to run for offices. The second one will be to remove every cultural resistance, every form of cultural resistance that will say women should not do this one, should not do that one, should not talk. In fact, the cultural and the religious are somehow tied together. You have a lot of religions that says that women cannot mount the pulpit, women should not speak in public, women should not speak in public, and it's also like that yet you are sure that these women have very beautiful ideas, which when they bring it to the table, it becomes productive. So one of the first things I would say is encouragement for any woman who decides to run, from our brothers, from our husbands, from our friends that are male. Please encourage women around you when they say they want to run for offices.
Okay, that's a good one. If you just joined us, you are listening to A Stitch in Time, and today we are focusing on the reserved seats as the pathway for women inclusion in governance. And our special guest today Honorable Obiajelo Princess Ugu. She is the Deputy Chief Whip, Enugu State House of Assembly, and member representing Enugu South Rural Constituency. She is also the Southeast Zonal Chairperson, Reserved Seats for Women Advocacy Coalition. We'll take a short break now, but the program continues shortly. Don't go away. We're glad to welcome you back to the program, It's Teaching Time, as we are discussing reserved seats as a pathway for women's inclusion of women in governance. And we've been talking about what these reserved seats can do for women, how women can contribute and for national development, and the need for each and every one of us to support women, especially those who have the mind to come out for and know what is happening in governance, to be in politics. And our guests, I want to know, like political parties, because before you contest for any seat, you must have to belong to one political party. So how can political parties encourage women to participate? And then what do you think the changes can be, or the kind of changes you would like to see in party structure to favor women?
Okay, so currently what we have in most parties is most times just the seats for woman leader reserved for the woman. So if this bill passes into law, it will be nice to see. In fact, there is no way that it will work without being domiciled in the party constitution. So it will be, the party will have to adopt whatever is being passed into law, since we don't already have room for independence candidacy. There will be need for the political parties to adopt and assimilate this law this bill when it is passed into law, to reserve certain strategic positions, up to 35% in the party positions. And when it is time to also pick tickets, it is necessary that they will also say, okay, so these parties, these particular seats must be run by women. What it means is that APC, PDP, APGA, ADC, all the party, water party, sand party, whatsoever your party is that you will have women fielded to run certain positions. So like this reserve seat, as party A is having women running for that seat, same is party B, same is party C. At the end of the day, no one emerges other than a woman. So that is what we need the party to do. Apart from that, they also need, I already mentioned, that they need to also include women, reserve certain seats for women in their executive, in the party executive, because that's how to build capacity and eligibility to be part and parcel of what happens in the political parties.
Okay, so for this to be achieved, do you think there should be more support from women to support their fellow women?
I will always say that I am one woman that have enjoyed the support of women. So I belonged to a platform, a group called Women Support Women. That platform helped me so much during the elections, and they were not just for one woman. It wasn't just for me. I saw them campaigning for anywhere, any seats where there was a woman. I was contesting in one party. We had a lot of women that they were campaigning for. Our own was, we wanted women, and these were women supporting women. So the idea is not that women don't support women. in these things. The issue is that most times men also do not support men. I mean, men contest, they fight dirty.
Yeah.
So it is not
It's all
peculiar
about
to
interest.
women. Yes, it is about the mindset that the women have been given that this is not a place for you. So they want to just shy away from it. So I don't think the issue is with the women supporting other women. Women actually support women, and I am a testimony of women. A woman who has been supported by women.
Okay, so with the way women are going about getting into politics, do you think that the society we are in today is really ready for more women in politics?
Of course, the society is ready. I see that the society is very ready. Let me start from my own state governor, His Excellency Barrister Dr. Peter Ndubi Simba, who has almost about 50 appointees in his cabinet. And if you check in all the parastatals, ministries, departments that are doing excellently well, majority of them are headed by these women. And everybody is saying, oh, now Enugu, I have, okay, so we're currently, having a town hall meeting this evening as per the reserve seats bill to discuss with women. Who are the women coming? Women who are already in the corridors of power, because we understand the need to bring in more women into the system. So the society, I'm sure, with what we are seeing today, Enugu has become one of the best states in Nigeria. The governor's projection was to be among the top 3 states in Nigeria, and that's if we're not already there.
Yeah.
Enugu is on the lips of everyone. I had a UN representative coming from Lagos today, and she was all wowing with what she was seeing in Enugu. And by the time we told her that, okay, the SSA on transport is a woman, the commissioner for tourism is a woman, the commissioner for women gender is a woman, the SSA finance is a woman. She was no wonder. No wonder. So I don't see any other time better than now for more women to come into the corridors of power.
Okay, so so what's your vision for women in governance in Nigeria's future?
My vision for women in governance in Nigeria's future is to see a woman become a governor of a state, see them become the president someday, see them become even the president of the Senate, the Speaker of the National Assembly. These things. We've seen a few women become speakers here and there, or governor at certain times. The difference is always clear. So I look forward to a Nigeria where women will not be marginalized, but where women will be allowed to walk side by side by their male counterparts.
Amazing. So what will be your advice to young women who are aspiring to take up leadership roles?
Of course, my advice to them is always, in fact, they are my favorite people. The reason why I am fighting, why I am advocating, why I am breathing right now, my breathe reserve seat bill for women, is because I want these young, vibrant ones. Imagine that in schools, SUGs, departments, faculties, most times are being headed by these girls, and they do amazingly well. They coordinate the school very well, and before you know it, once they enter, they get into the regular platform, they just disappear into thin air. I want to see them come into leadership spaces, and therefore what I am telling them, my advice for them is continue to launch on, remain consistent, don't give up, keep learning, keep building capacity, so that when opportunity presents itself, it will be very easy for you to fit in the square pegs into the square holes.
So your general advice to the public especially about this result seat for women?
The public want you people to please engage your representatives at the Senate, at the House of Rep, at the houses of assembly, because this bill, yes, we can make all the noises, but it needs the two-third majority of the Senate, it needs two-third majority of the House of Representatives, it needs at least 24 states adopting this bill, and before you talk about the president's assets. So please, I beg the general public to please engage your representatives at all parliamentary levels to ask them to please, support this bill and make it pass for the betterment of all of us.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you and all that you are doing and are still planning to do as a woman in politics. And I'm sure that a lot of women are aspiring to be like you someday. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Precious, for having me. Thank you, viewers and listeners, for also listening in. Please, it's not just about listening. I just want you people to take action. Ask me. My office is always open at the House of Assembly. My social media handle. Ask me, what do you need to do to help this bill pass? Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's really amazing. She has thrown it to you. So it's now up to you to take action, and you need to start today. So our special guest today, Honorable Obiajulu Princess Ugu. She is the Deputy Chief Whip, Enugu State House of Assembly, member representing Enugu South Rural Constituency, and Southeast Zonal Chairperson, reserved seats for Women Advocacy Coalition. So, as you have heard the conversation today, that reserved seat bill is not just about the number. It's about creating balance. It is about fairness. So, if it's not just like what our guest said today, the reserved seat might not be a permanent thing, but at least it could be a step forward to achieving the goal of including more women in politics. So whatever you have to do to support this bill, you need to start today, because the stitching time saves 9. We appreciate you greatly for being part of today's edition of the program. My name is Precious Chukwekizi. Don't forget that your life is precious.